After a devastating rejection from his girlfriend, this deadly youngster plots a brutal revenge. How could someone be so lunatic? The case is a haunting reminder of a grudge that lingers in the shadows, and sometimes the most unexpected ones pay the bloody price.
Morning, Mr. Allen. What's going on this morning?
I have no idea.
It's 2019 in Olney, Texas, a small town surrounded by wide open fields that stretch endlessly, where cowboys aren't just a myth, but a way of life. And most importantly, football. It's a town home to a surprising number of former NFL players. You see, when Friday night rolls around, the entire town rallies behind the Olney Cubs. They're not just a high school football team, they're the beating heart of the small community. Every game, every touchdown, it all means something here. And no one cheers more proudly than Manuela. Mrs. Manuela Allen is a teacher at Olney High School, and she loves to watch her students' games. But during regular hours, she is in the classroom teaching English and German. Born and raised in Germany, she came to the United States in 1996 to learn English. However, she fell in love with a man named Peter, a determined military man who had served as a Green Beret. The two quickly discovered their chemistry, got married, and had 4 kids, settling in Olney, Texas. Over the years, their family became an integral part of the Olney community, and Manuela became a beloved teacher in the high school. She is the kind of teacher who doesn't just show up to teach, she goes the extra mile for her students. She cares about their lives, dreams, and struggles. One time, she even let her daughter's boyfriend Julian into their home, after he was kicked out by his parents. Though the boy has an arrogant streak and struggles academically, he finds his passion in football, where he shines in every match for the high school. It's a place where he can show up and gain the admiration of his girlfriend Melanie and her mother Manuela. But through time, his talent fuels an inflated ego, and the overconfidence on the field begins to take over his personal life. On July 6, 2019, after a long, exhausting day, Manuela and her husband Peter were on the couch watching TV. 2 of their 4 children were at home in their rooms. Since she was exhausted, Manuela decided to head to bed and Peter fell asleep on the couch. After hours, Peter heard a thumping noise in their house, but didn't think much of it. The next morning, around 9 a.m., their youngest daughter Kira came into the living room with a curious look, asking Peter about her mom. He told her that she could probably still in the bedroom. When she heads to check, the door is locked. What? Manuela never locked the bedroom door unless there was a reason. Their house had a unique layout, with 2 entrances to the master bedroom, one through the hallway and another through the garage via the laundry room. When Peter rushed with the other way, he met with a horrifying scene. The sheets were missing from the bed, the room was drenched in blood, and there was no sign of Manuela. Her car also gone from the garage. In that moment, Peter realized something terrible had occurred, far worse than the family could have imagined. As the shock set in, the mystery began to unravel, leaving answers that no one prepared for. Did Manuela accidentally hurt herself in bed? Maybe she had cut herself and in a panic driven to the hospital. With that glimmer of hope, Peter and his youngest daughter rushed to Hamilton Hospital in downtown Olney. But when they arrived, their hearts sank. No one by the name of Manuela Allen had been admitted. The absence of any trace sent chills down their spines. Stumped and terrified, they decided to call 911.
911, where's your emergency?
I don't know how to describe it. My wife is missing, and there's blood all over her bedroom.
By 10 a.m., the police arrived at their home and began the investigation.
Morning, Mr. Allen.
Good morning.
What's going on this morning?
I have no idea. My wife's gone. Her car is gone. My daughter comes and says, "Hey, Dad, where's Mom?" And I go, "Well, just in the room sleeping." And she goes, "Well, no, the door's locked. I slept on the couch. Car's gone." So she goes through there and unlocks it. She comes up and said, "Dad, there's blood all over the place."
Okay.
And I have no idea.
You have your ID with you, Mr. Allen?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and step out here. Go ahead and come out here.
Usually her keys are hanging right there.
Okay, let's go ahead and go out to the living room. And you say you looked in the garage and the car's gone.
Well, the car would be parked right in front, yeah.
Peter and Kira had been in the house all night, along with their other child, Darian. Their oldest son was away at college, and their eldest daughter, Melanie, was in Arlington. As the investigation progressed, the police noticed several unsettling details. Smudged handprints on the bedroom door and bloody bare footprints trailed across the tiles, leading into the kitchen. It was clear that someone familiar had been there, someone who knows their home's layout well. The footprints indicated that Manuela had tried to escape from the bedroom but had been forcefully dragged back inside. Between the laundry room and the bedroom, there was a disturbing streak of blood. These traces revealed a chilling scene of a violent encounter, one that would unravel the lives of the family. But this was only the beginning, and the truth becomes darker and more complex than anyone could imagine.
And I'll be honest with you, Peter, and we've been sitting here for probably 4 or 5 hours right now talking. I think there's more to it than what you're telling me. Okay? Just listen to me. You knew whoever left that blood was not alive, because that is too much blood. You knew that too because of your training.
I didn't know that too. I thought my wife was hurt, and I was hoping and praying she was hurt. Nobody wants to think that their wife has been murdered in their house while they sit in the living room. What kind of a man do you think it makes me feel like knowing that I was sitting in there while some was in there killing my wife?
3 people were present in the house that night, yet none had any clue about what had happened. How could that be possible? Peter explained that he slept on the couch because he had a few drinks and both he and his wife snore. Meanwhile, their youngest daughter, Kira, came home late that night after spending time with her friends. She plugged in her earbuds and eventually drifted off to sleep. Their 20-year-old son was also at home, but said he was playing video games with his headphones on. Could this all be just coincidence? On the afternoon of July 7th, while questioning the family, a call came in. Archer County Sheriff David Wilk followed a hunch to nearby Lake Cooper, a popular spot just a 5-minute drive from Olney. There, he discovered a white SUV abandoned after becoming stuck in the grass. When he got closer to the vehicle, he noticed brown smears that looked like blood. Not far from the car, he stumbled upon a gruesome sight.
Archer County Sheriff's Office.
Hey, this is going to be the one he's looking for. Dead.
What?
Manuela's body, wrapped in bloodied sheets and abandoned near the fence. The scene was horrifying, a chilling confirmation of the beloved teacher. According to the details, Manuela had been brutally stabbed multiple times, strangled, and then shot in the face. It looks an act of pure rage. What could drive someone to commit such a heinous act? The scene at Lake Cooper provided investigators with crucial clues. Bloody fingerprints were found on the car, and nearby, bike tracks led back to the town. The perpetrator must be someone who knew the family's home well, someone familiar with the garage code, the location of the bedroom door, and where the car keys were kept. With each passing hour, investigators scrutinized every angle and possibility. Days blurred into a frenzy of interviews and evidence collection, yet one name kept resurfacing: her husband, Peter Allen. It was hard to overlook the fact that he was a former Green Beret, a military man trained in tactics, skilled with weapons, and capable of deadly precision. The idea seemed far-fetched, but the investigators couldn't ignore the possibility. Why did he really sleep on the couch that night? How could he have missed the blood that drenched the floor? And why did he take so long to call 911?
I did not hurt my wife. I cannot explain this. I don't know what happened.
When this thing comes to a head and a jury believes you stabbed your wife 46 times, they're going to put you in the electric chair.
To address the suspicion, each family member provided their DNA and fingerprint samples. Suspecting that the house layout played a role, investigators began to focus on the thickness of the walls and whether they had muffled any sounds. The house was built with very thick walls, somewhat plausible. But how could it absorb all that sound and the screams? On July 8th, 2 witnesses came forward. One was an oil field worker who reported that he had been out in the field early that morning, saying that he saw a man riding a bike toward Olney. He noted that the man had a backpack on, along with dark shorts and shoes. Eager to confirm this sighting, police obtained a search warrant for surveillance footage from a nearby bank. The footage revealed a man on a bike, exactly as described, wearing dark clothing and with a telltale backpack, pedaling into town. Meanwhile, the bike tracks found near the scene did not match any in the neighborhood. Peter's collection of firearms was also examined, and none of them matched the bullet that had taken Manuela's life. In search of a clue, detectives turned their attention to a suspect they had been monitoring, a man with a recent history of burglary and firearms theft. In a haunting twist, they discovered that one of the stolen firearms had been taken earlier that summer. While searching through their files, they identified the primary suspect in the gun theft, Corey Taylor, a troubled young man with a history of run-ins with the law. Officers set out to speak with him, but before making contact, they chose to observe Corey's home first. They noticed a staircase leading up to his apartment, but what really caught their attention was a bike tucked away in a hidden cubby beneath the stairs. Upon closer inspection, the tread patterns on the bike tires matched those found at the crime scene. When questioned about the bike, Corey casually shrugged and said it belonged to his friend, Julius. Julius Mullins, a promising football player for the Olney Cubs and the boyfriend of Manuela's daughter Melanie. The connections became more complicated, leading the detectives down to a deep rabbit hole. In the small town of Olney, Julius was a familiar name, especially in the high school. He was a star on the field, particularly when his girlfriend Melanie cheered him on from the stands. While they were dating, Melanie's mother was welcoming to Julius. She often allowed him into their home and even helped him with his homework. But about 6 months ago, her father Peter noticed bruises on Melanie's arm, and she confessed that Julius had punched her. After a year of dating, Melanie ended their relationship. However, Julius didn't take the breakup well. He started getting into more trouble, began skipping school, and started hanging out with the wrong crowd. His life spiraled so much, even sometimes he allowed to shower and sleep in the high school gym. As the months passed, Julius had been desperate to reconcile with Melanie, but she remained firm in her decision to move on. After her mother's murder, Melanie shared her concerns with the police, revealing that Julius had contacted her shortly after the incident, expressing his sorrow over what had happened to her mom. His messages felt unsettling, especially considering the unhealthy nature of their relationship. 2 days after the incident, Julius also did something strange, with posting a heart with a German flag on his profile page. Whispers in the community grew louder, and many began to suspect Julius Mullins due to his connection to the family and his erratic behavior after the tragedy.
And I'm Melanie Townsend. 18-year-old Julius Mullins has been charged in connection to the murder of the mother of 4 and is being held in the Young County Jail on $500,000 bond.
His friend Corey, who had initially been a suspect, was cleared with a solid alibi for the night of the murder. During Julius's interrogation, he remained mostly silent, seemingly indifferent to the gravity of the situation.
The murderous bastard killed my mother, and then she said all these other things, towards me. She was like, was it you and Fred Hall? I was like, did y'all plan this?
Who do you think did this?
I really don't know.
You want me to be honest with you, Julian? They think you did it.
Yeah, I know.
We know that you were out there, but not only that, but we know your shoes were out there. Not only that, but we know your bicycle was out there.
After he stepped outside for a smoke, something shifted. His stiff demeanor cracked, and the pressure of the investigation weighed heavily on his shoulders. Finally, he began to confess.
What time did you go to the house when you actually killed her?
2.
So when you went in there, was she asleep?
She screamed.
A lot. She got up. Then what happened?
You slammed her to the ground.
You slammed her on the ground? Where at?
She went for the door.
Despite Julius's shocking confession, the police found it hard to believe he could have carried out the murder alone. As the family described, Manuela was a strong woman, and the idea that a teenager like Julius could overpower her and drag her body without making a sound seemed unlikely. Julius found himself in a precarious position. In a surprising twist, he claimed that Manuela's husband Peter had orchestrated the murder and even helped him carry it out.
What was that lawsuits? He told me to get in the car. So I was like, alright, get in the car. He pulled out a gun, locked the doors, drag it back, like right here, and like yanked it to him. He told me, he was like, I'm only going to tell you this once. And he said, if you tell everybody else, I'm going to kill your entire family. He told me he unlocked that window. And he told me, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go in there.
You're doing what's right. What did he tell you to do after you got in there?
He told me he left a butterfly knife on the counter. That's what I would have to use to kill her. And Peter, he was awake. He was just sitting there on the couch and watching me do it.
He couldn't see you from there, right? In the
He
bedroom?
knew I was there.
So Mr. Allen just sat in the living room the whole time?
He helped me take her and put her in the car.
According to the DNA and fingerprint samples, investigators found no tangible evidence linking Peter to the crime. As detectives dig deeper, they begin to uncover the tangled emotions driving him to murder. It becomes clear that his true motive is revenge. Heartbroken after Melanie ended their relationship, Julius didn't want to take his anger out on her directly, so he targets the person she loves the most. On May 28, 2020, the tragic story reaches its inevitable conclusion in court. Julius Orion Mullins pleads guilty to first-degree murder and abuse of a corpse. He is sentenced to 55 years in prison with the possibility of parole in 2047. Many believe that Julius murdered her mother as a twisted form of retribution, a way to inflict the same heartbreak he had suffered. It wasn't just a moment of rage, but a calculated revenge meant to tear Melanie's life apart. As Julius stands before the judge, he surprisingly admits that he still has feelings for Melanie, even expressing sorrow over their breakup.